All right. So as you can see, you're all familiar with how to log into Command, I'm hoping. If not, then you can reach out to your MCTT or check out some of our awesome resources. And I'll be posting some of the resources for the material that we're going over during the class. And I'll make a big list of links and I'll send it out to everybody that attended the class if you put your email in the registration, as well as the video of this training as well. So we'll make sure you have that handy. So like I mentioned, we're going to be going over the Contacts app and the consumer mobile app. And whenever we're doing the training, if there's something really important coming up or something you need to remember, you'll hear this sound that gets really annoying after a while. And that's to make sure that you're awake and that you're paying attention, that you were able to get the material we're talking about here. So we'll go ahead and just jump into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the Contacts app within Command. Now, the easiest way to get there is to hit the little contacts bubble. If you're not familiar with using Command a whole lot and these look like hieroglyphics to you, you can always hit that red KW in the upper left-hand corner. And that expands all the names of the apps on the side to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to jump right into our Contacts app. Now, you can see as soon as you jump into Contacts, it gives you a little notice saying the new contacts, telling you about all the great, cool things. So we're going to close that because I'll be telling you about the cool things now. So when you first jump into Contacts, we're going to go over the dashboard, what it looks like from here and what each of the buttons do. So from here, we can search for contacts. If we have a giant list of contacts, we can search through it based on email address, phone number, name, whatever we put in there. It's going to search all the contacts for the to match the criteria you put in here. Now with filters, we can filter out our contacts based on all kinds of things. I'll give you a quick little preview here. You can sort them by tags. You can filter them by the company they're with, the date created, the lead source, when they were last modified, contacted, last visited, their birth date, address, a lot of information here that you can filter through. So if you're looking for only tags of people that are sellers or buyers, or I'm sorry, sellers or investors, you could put those tags in here. As long as you tag your contacts as they come in with the correct tags, then you can sort through them quickly, make campaigns, or reach out to those people specifically. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of there. Now, next, we have our smart views, and these are extremely helpful. What you can do is you can set up a custom filter based on tags, based on any of that criteria that you want in there. And then if you create a smart view for it, what that's going to do is it's going to make it so that it shows up in this little drop-down menu. So you can have a smart view for all the people that are connected to your mobile app or to your website. You can do a smart view based on tags. You can see we've got some default ones here from Kelly, but it's just a quick way to go through and look at all your buyers as soon as you sign in. Instead of clicking on the filters, you can just select that smart view for your buyers or for your sellers or whatever criteria you really want to. From here, you can import contacts. We're going to be updating that very soon and making it a little bit easier to import your spreadsheets. The add contact button, which is what we're going to be doing in just a couple of moments. We're going to skip over the team functionality. This lead pool button, you all may not have that on there, but that's specifically for teams only currently. You can customize your columns, which is to say that you can change the criteria that shows up in here. So if we wanted tags to be the very first thing that we see, we could choose customize columns. And you can see we've got all the different sets of data here that we can display next to the contact. And we can change the order in which they display. So if I were to move this tags to the very top, it's going to make it so that the first thing that shows up next to their name is going to be their tags. If I think the most important thing next is last contacted, I could drag that up there. Or if I wanted to filter by people that were last contacted and I wanted that to be the main criteria that I look through, I could move that up to the very top. Then we could hit apply here. You can see now we have last contacted as the first column. We have tags as the second column. And I would recommend that you set these up in a way that makes sense most for you. From what I've seen, most people tend to put tags and last contacted up at the very front. That way they can see who they haven't reached out to in a while, and they can follow up with their clients from there. Now from here, we can change the view. We can change it from list view that we currently have to the card view. So if we want to get a little bit more information for each contact, we could select that one, or we could go back to list view. And that's really going to be based on personal preference, whichever you like looking at better. Another really cool trick is this show 1 through 3 of 3. Now we can show up to 500 contacts at a time. That way we don't have to keep scrolling through pages, and you can select a lot more based on the amount of contacts that show up to display on there. So that's the dashboard for the contacts here. We're going to be getting into a little bit more about how to manipulate these contacts to add them to smart plans, archive them, all that other information we're going to be going over in just a little bit, and how to tag multiple people at the same time. But just from looking at the dashboard, are there any questions that that you may have about what we've gone over so far, about any of these buttons or how it displays on here? Oh.
Could I ask you a question? You're probably going to go into it when you talk about the mobile app, but I have a problem when I'm doing this on my app on my phone when I'm in my car. I will try to go through my contacts. That's through my Mimi and Friends team, and then switching over back to my normal contacts on my regular command. I don't know if you're going to go over that when we go over the mobile app or not.
Oh, I see. Are you talking about if you sign into command from the browser on your phone?
Through the app.
Through the app. So the app that we're going to be talking about is the consumer mobile one. Are you talking about Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, so Kelly, we're not really going to go into. If you want to shoot me an email about the issue you're having with Kelly, then we can get together and I can help you out with that. But we're just going to be doing the consumer mobile app today.
Okay.
So Kelly, we typically only really use for notifications. We're working on a better solution for our mobile experience in command. But yeah, let me know if you're having issues with Kelly, and we'll get that taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. And are there any other questions on what we've gone over so far? For those of you just joining us, all we've done is just explain the dashboard for contacts. So basically what all of these buttons here do. So are there any other questions on what we've gone over? The cat outside has a lot of questions, it sounds like, but we don't speak cat, so a little bit out of luck there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create a contact, and we're going to go over every bit of creating a contact and why it's important to put that information in and how it can help you out a lot in the long run. So what we'll do, we're going to hit the add contact button here, up here in the very upper right-hand corner. And the full name, the importance of that is pretty self-explanatory. We definitely want to have a name. So we're just going to add Bob blah blah. So we've got Bob blah blah. Now we can add his spouse in here if we'd like to, or their child, any relation we can add into here. So we're going to go ahead and give Bob blah blah a wife. So we're going to say that Bob blah blah's wife is Kathy blah blah. Now, since I don't have that contact inside of my database currently, it says that there's no options. However, if we wanted to add them on there, if we click on add, it's going to create a brand new contact for Kathy Loblaw. So we can go back into her contact afterward and edit those details. So we'll go ahead and hit add. So now we have Kathy Loblaw as a spouse. The next part is the primary email. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. Very important to put this in here. This is what it's going to send to if you put somebody onto a smart plan. If you work with any of our email campaigns, this is the email address it's going to use. So we're just going to use Bob Loblaw at bobloblawslawblog.com. Very easy to remember. Next is the phone number. Very important, obviously, if you're going to be sending out any sort of text messages from smart plans. Very important to put this phone number in if you've got it. So we'll say, just going to make up a quick number there. Hopefully that's not somebody's real number. And you can change these from personal to their home, mobile, cell. You can add multiple phone numbers, multiple email addresses if they have them. That way, if you need to, you can get in touch with them on the email address or phone number that they mostly use. There we go. Now, the next part is the lead source type. So this is going to tell us if we, this is going to help us track exactly where our leads are coming from. And this can be extremely important. Because at the very end of the year, you can look at and see exactly where your business came from. And sometimes in a lot of cases, it's different than what people actually think. So I'm going to go ahead and use the very annoying air horn. So if you're paying attention, cover your ears. So the lead source is extremely important. Now you can choose to add the lead source from a list, which is going to be right here. We can choose they came from an agent relationship, Boomtown Marketing, Brivity, all kinds of stuff in here. If they came from Facebook, you could type in Facebook. You can even create your own custom lead source. So let's say if I went to a Star Wars convention, I could say that that's where I got this lead, was from a Star Wars convention, if I want to make my own category for that. Now, if there was a contact within my database that gave me this lead, that gave me this client, I could choose select from contacts. And I would just choose the contact that gave me this lead. So I'm going to say, I've only got a couple. So I'm going to say it's Obi-Wan Kenobi gave me this contact. So that way at the end of the year, I can take a look at the lead source for where all of my business came from. And I'll be able to track exactly where that's coming from. So if it's coming from one specific area, I probably want to focus a little bit more on that. Now, the next part, if we choose mark as lead, it's going to put this nice little L next to it, indicating that it's a lead that we're currently working. It's going to stand out a little bit more inside of our contact list. So we can choose mark as lead if they're an active lead. If they're not, we can uncheck it and they won't show up as a lead. Now this button, add to sales pipeline, if I check that, as soon as I create my contact, it's going to bring me into the opportunities area where I can start creating an opportunity directly from that contact. So if I'm entering this contact after I've already got some information from them and we're going to put their house on the market and I need to start my transaction off and get that paperwork ready, I'll want to choose add to sales pipeline. That way it brings me directly into creating an opportunity, so I don't have to click around a whole bunch. Now, the next part is also one of the very most important things. If not every single contact in your database has a tag, it really should. I feel like I'm overusing that today, but it's extremely important to add a tag for each contact. It's going to help you organize and group your contacts together based on their interests, based on what type of buyer, what type of seller, really any criteria you put on here. You can also put in a tag based on their interests. So if it's somebody who likes boating a whole lot and you have a lot of people in your database that like boats and boating, you could just tag them as boating. And you can see I've already got this one in here, but if I wanted to create a brand new one, you can just start typing it and it will ask you if you want to add it. So for instance, let's say cat lovers. I don't have a tag for that currently, but I can click on create custom tag. I can choose the color that it shows up with. We'll choose yellow because the little guy peed on me earlier. And we can do add. So now we have that tag cat lovers on there in yellow. We can tag anybody else in our database with that. We can choose to view only the contacts that we have with that specific tag. If we wanted to market specifically to those people, we could market to that tag specifically and all the contacts on it. It just helps out with organizing your contacts and grouping them into categories that make sense. So we'll go ahead and just say he's into boating as well. So that's it for the very basic information. At bare minimum, you should add all this information in for every contact. We have additional information that we're going to be going over next, but this is really the most important information for those contacts because from here, you can work with them a lot more effectively than you would if you didn't have their phone number, their email address, obviously. Now, are there any questions over any of the information that we've gone over so far with creating the contacts, some of the basic information when adding them in? All right, very good. And also, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but if you have a question, feel free to just blurt it out, interrupt me. I can talk for a really long time without taking a breath. I'm sure you've seen it. So feel free to interrupt me, raise your hand, start typing in there. Looks like we got one in the chat here. How do we find out how many complete contacts we have? Name, email address, phone number, email. So what you could do for that, you could take a look at the database health score. And you'll be able to take a look and see how many you have on there and how many you need to improve from there. But I don't believe that we have a filter option for showing how many completed contacts we have currently. You could sort by contacts that don't have a phone number currently. You can also sort by contacts that don't have an email as well. And then from there, you can put them on smart plans to try to get that information out from them. But yeah, that would be the most effective way to find out some of that basic information. Did that help? Did that help you out, Jennifer? All right, very good. Got the green light. Thank you. Very good.
And I just have a question. In last visited, is that when they last visited your app if they're using?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. So last time they visited your app or signed in on your consumer website. And another little piece of information, that consumer website you have, typically your first name, last name.kw.com, that functions basically the same as the app. So if they're searching for a home on there and they're signed in, you can see exactly what they're doing on there as well. So it's definitely a good tool. And if they're looking at homes on their app and let's say they favorite one or make a collection of one, they can view that information on the website as well. And I'll show you all that here in a little bit.
Can I ask a quick question, Andrew?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that last visited, just back to that real quick. So if we've sent them, a smart plan or whatever have you, it doesn't necessarily mean that we mailed it out or emailed it out. It means they actually opened it and searched the website.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. That is the key. The last time that they were able to get their eyes on something on your mobile app or on your website. All right. That cat has some amazing lungs. So the next thing we're going to do, add more information. And we're going to choose additional contact information. This is where we can add a little bit more information, as the title says, about that contact. If they prefer to be emailed, called, or texted, or not contacted at all, in which case, probably don't want to add them in the database, but you can choose their preferred method of contact. And we'll say Mr. Loblaw likes to talk on the phone. So the next part, we can add an additional email if they have a work email. So let's say Bob Loblaw is bob@loblaw.com. So we can add that additional email. We can also add more than that. So if he has another email, bob@bobsotheremail.com, we could enter that in as well. Additional phone number, if he has a work number, we could change that. We could put that on there. A mobile number, cell phone, which that's a little bit redundant, or other would be a catch-all there. The next part is extremely important as well. So this is going to be their address, and this information is going to be important to try to get from every single one of your clients. Every contact you should really try to get a street address for, because what that's going to do is it's going to specify which neighborhood they live in, and it'll automatically tag them inside of that neighborhood. That way, if you put them on that monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan, they'll already have a neighborhood to get information on. So we're just going to go ahead and we'll do to Carlisle Drive. So we'll say that's where Bob Loblaw lives. And if we're going to be using our database to print out mailing labels to send out Christmas cards or things to our clients, we can click on same as mailing address. That way, if we go to print out from our contacts app, if we try to print out our mailing labels, we'll be able to have that information printed on there. Now, the next part is the social profile. One thing that's extremely important and to get in the habit of doing is to go ahead and find their Facebook URL for their social media profile. The reason being is that within our campaigns application on here, you can choose to market to specifically people within your database. So if you have the Facebook URL to most of your contacts, you can not only send them emails, text messages, but you can also show up in their newsfeed as an ad on Facebook, which is incredibly powerful if you're trying to farm an area, you're trying to add contacts in for a specific neighborhood and farm it. Adding that Facebook URL in there will allow you to spend advertising money specifically on those people and those people only. So always a good idea to get into the habit of putting in the Facebook URL. Typically pretty easy to find it for most people. Their first and last name on Facebook, you can usually track them down in a little bit. It takes a couple of minutes when you first go through and do it as you're adding contacts. So I always recommend adding that in there to make your farming a little bit more effective. So that's it for the additional information area. Are there any questions on what we've gone over so far here under the additional contact information?
When you say it'll pop up in their news feed when you get their URL for Facebook, what exactly is going to be showing up in their news feed from you specifically?
Yeah, so what you can do, you can create a Facebook ad and you can choose to market that specific Facebook ad, whether it's, about a listing or about finding out how much your home is worth. You can make that go to specifically the people that are inside of your database. So if you're already walking around that neighborhood handing out door hangers, you've got signs all over the place, you're sending out text messages to those people for marketing, emails for marketing, you can hit them also on their social media as well.
Okay, so it'll just target those people specifically when you do your ads. Okay.
Yeah, instead of doing like the 10 miles from this city, it'll be 10 miles from this city, and they have to be inside of your database with that social profile. So yeah, there's a team here that's currently working on doing that for a small neighborhood to kind of test it out on farming it. So far it looks really, really, really good. So if you're interested in farming, definitely very, very effective way to do it.
So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Are there any other questions on the additional information here?
Andrew, do you need permission to use their Facebook? No?
Not that I've heard. I don't believe so. It's publicly available information. If you go to Facebook and search my name, you'll find me on there. You could add my information onto there, and then if you ran an ad to people in your database, I would have the opportunity to see that ad inside of my timeline. So I would say double check with your broker liaison, but to my knowledge, I don't believe it is. I don't want to get in any trouble, so always check first.
Yeah, no, it sounds good because they're so careful.
Yeah, definitely a good idea to check. But from what I understand, I've seen people do it, so I really don't think it is. So yeah, any other questions on here?
We can add the Facebook from a specific neighborhood that we want to promote our app.
Oh, so this is for the campaign. So if you did a Facebook ad for a listing or for finding out how much their home is worth, you can target it specifically to those people.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. So the next part we're going to go to about a little bit more information. You can put their legal name in here. If Bob Loblaw's real name is Robert Loblaw the 25th, we could add his legal name on there. We could add a description, which just shows up on right under their name inside of the contact card when you open it up. So if you wanted to add some important information, something that you would not want to forget about this person and something that's important to them. So we could say that they like rescuing cats. So whenever we go to call that person, we can ask if they rescued any cats lately, see how things are going on that front. The next part is their birthday, and this is important to add in if you do know it, because then you can put them on that birthday smart plan. It reminds you to send them a gift, to call them, text them, and leave a post on their social media about their birthday. So for this, I'm going to put my actual birthday in here because I expect a check from all of you on my birthday. Oh man, I got to scroll further. There we go. And the home anniversary. This is also incredibly important. We have a couple of smart plans that will automatically remind you when their home anniversary is coming up. And if you've sold a home to a client, it's really, really helpful to send them something a year later on, ask them how things are going, and stay in touch with them so that whenever they're ready to sell that home and buy a new one, they keep you in mind. So let's say April 3rd, 2nd, 2019. Relationships, we can add other relationships on here. So we could add their spouse, which we already added, their father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, sibling, parent, child, sibling of parent, pretty much anything you can think of. We've got a label for it here. And we've got other to catch everything else. So you can add any additional relationships that they have with other people. If you wanted to have their whole family in your database, you could add them all in there. That way, when you go to send out those cards, your mailing labels you print will have their the first name of every person on there, along with their last name. Next part's the company name. You can choose from any of the awesome choices we have here. You can also choose to create a new one. So I wanted to say, let's try to jump in. There we go. So if I want to say this is Bob Loblaw's Loblog is his company. We could put his title. He is the president, as he is Bob Loblaw. So once we do that, we can hit create, and that contact is going to be created. Are there any questions on that contact creation or any of the fields that we went over, or anything like that that we've gone over so far? All right. Well, 10/21, that's your sister's birthday, Inez. Very good. That's an awesome day. The best birthday. Actually, my best friend and roommate's birthday as well. So you know it's a good B-day. So we'll go ahead and hit create here. And now we've got that contact. We've got Bob Loblaw. I chose that add to sales pipeline, so it tried to bring me into an opportunity, but I'm going to jump back to our contacts here. So we can see we've got Bob Loblaw. We've got the tags on here that we added for him, his primary phone number, all of that other information in here. Now, if I wanted to tag everybody in my database that I have here right now, or if I wanted to tag Bob and Kathy as something, let's go ahead and just select Bob and Kathy. And we can do that by selecting the little boxes here to the left, or we can select all by choosing that one there. So let's see that, say that Bob, Kathy, and Kelly Test are all sellers. So if I wanted to add a tag for all those people, I could use this nice little select bulk action button here at the top. You can see we've got a lot of options here. And I'll just go through them one by one for you here. We can add a note. So we can add a note to each and every one of those contacts saying, you know, they were talked about during this class, or we reached out to them and said this, that, the other. We can archive them if we wanted to get them out of our database. We can archive them, that way they go out of here. We could add a bulk activity. We could say we called Bob, Kathy, and Kelly Test, saying, you know, we have a home that they may like, or ask them how much they're willing to sell for. We could send a bulk SMS if we have Twilio connected. So we could send that out to all three people. We could add bulk tags, which is what we're going to do in a moment. We could add them to an email list if we were going to send out a email campaign to a specific group of people. We can make a copy of them and share them with another user. So if I wanted to share these contacts with, let's say, Connor, I could share these contacts directly to him through command. If I want to mark them as leads, I could unmark as leads, add them to a smart plan, export them into a spreadsheet, export mailing labels, which would give us a spreadsheet of their names, addresses, and that information there. I can export mailing labels as a PDF, which will give me a nice sheet of paper with their names and their addresses and mailing label format. And if you're on a team, you can change account. You could migrate these from your personal instance of command over to the team side. So are there any questions on any of these bulk actions that we can do when we're selecting multiple contacts?
You say we can remove contacts if I have entered it many times. Can I delete it and start fresh, or can I merge them together?
So we don't have a merge function quite yet. But
Okay.
yeah, what we would have to do is pick the one with the most complete information, jot down the rest of it, then you could archive them and edit that one contact with most of the information on there.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and add bulk tags. We're gonna say that they are sellers. So I'm gonna put seller here. There we go, and I can submit. So now if I was gonna reach out to all of my, sometimes it takes a moment, may have to refresh. So if I wanted to reach out to all the people that are sellers in my database, I could just choose a filter, and I could filter by tag. And I could just find that seller tag. Choose apply. So now it's only showing me contacts with the tag of seller. So if I wanted to market to those people, if I wanted to say, hey, we just found out there's a huge increase in home prices, what number is right for you to sell at? we could send out some marketing for them like that. If I want to make a smart view for it, again, a smart view is something where you can just at the click of a button, choose those predetermined filters to display immediately. So if I go to smart view, I'll create one. I'm just going to call this sellers. Save that smart view. So now if I wanted to view all my contacts, I could choose this all contacts smart view. I can see everybody. If I want to change the smart view to the sellers, I would just select that one, and it applies those filters for me automatically. That way I can just see my sellers. So I'm going to go back to the all contacts. Let's say if I wanted to tag just one person, I could just hit these three dots over here to the right. And I get those some of those same options we saw under the bulk action. I could archive it, add to a smart plan, make a copy and share, or I could edit it so I could add a tag to them. Now, are there any questions on what we went over there after creating the contact? We showed you a little bit more about the smart view and how it can be functional, how to add the tag, how to do those bulk actions, and how to view your contacts list on there. All right, somebody asked if that's an Arrested Development reference. It absolutely is. Bob Loblaw's Law Blog, the best name in the world. So of course. So yeah, what we'll do now, we're going to jump into the actual contact itself. But first, what I want to do is I do want to show you the consumer mobile app, because we're going to I'm going to sign into our consumer mobile app, and it's going to create a contact for me automatically inside of our contact list here. So I'm going to share my phone screen, and sometimes this likes to work correctly, sometimes it doesn't. So let's say I handed out my consumer app link to one of my clients. This is exactly what they're going to see as soon as they open up the link and download the app. One moment here. All right, are you able to see my phone? Nope, not working quite yet. Hang on, get this all set here. This is not wanting to work for me today. Probably should have tested this a little bit more. Bear with me here just a moment. All right, are you able to see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so whenever you give your consumer mobile app to somebody, whenever you give them that app link and they download it from the App Store, this is the screen that they're going to be seeing. Now, what you'll want to make sure you do whenever you hand it out to them is tell them not to just hit the X in the upper right, because if they do that, they will not be branded to you. They will not have an agent assigned to them, and you won't be able to see what they're doing. So it's extremely important that once this screen comes up, they're going to want to click on sign up. Now, once they hit sign up, it just asks for some basic information. And this is the information that gets sent to you and added to your database. Now, you'll want to remind them that only you are able to see this data. It's not going to anybody else. It is going directly to you, and just have them fill that information out here. So for example, let's say that my name is Bob. No, we already have Bob Loblaw. Wait, actually I already have an account, but basically they would fill that out. I'm going to go ahead and log in since I already have one here. There we go. So now that I've logged in, I didn't go, I'm already branded to an agent because they gave me their branded app link, but I'm going to go ahead and just remove that person. So if I would have gone from my app link, it would have added myself as the agent. See that here. And now I am the agent for this person. So if I go around and I start looking at any of these homes here, let's say we'll go ahead and click on this one, take a look at it, and you can see that your agent is right here. If you click on that, it gives you the information. And if they were to click on Ask Your Agent, you could send them a message and it's going to show up inside of your command. So let's say, hello, you are me. And submit. So now you can see I got a notification from Kelly that popped up immediately. That's letting me know that something came in from my mobile app. Now I could put a little heart next to this property here. Let's do that. A little heart there. I can add it to a collection that I've created or that you've created for the client. So another really cool thing about our search feature on this mobile app is we are the only ones that are able to search by landmark or special venue. So let's say if we wanted to search for the White House, it's going to show us the actual White House. If they wanted to live nearby there for some reason, they certainly could. If we wanted to, if our client was really interested in football, if they wanted to live by Raymond James Stadium, they could do Raymond James Stadium. And it's going to show them some houses right by Raymond James Stadium. So there's no other real estate search app that will do that. If you type in Raymond James Stadium, it's going to find Raymond something, Connecticut or wherever. So really helpful, really cool feature there. Now, another cool thing is the saved, and you can actually create a saved search for your client. And I'm going to show you that once we get into the contact card there. So if I were to create a saved search for this client, they would see it right here. And it looks like this was the saved search for that one. So if you were looking for a home in that area, you could put them on a saved search. That way they get a notification, they get an email anytime a home that fits their criteria in that area, and they can view them directly from here. Now the feed, this is going to show any of the saved searches that your agent has created or that they have created. It's also going to show the consumer guide. So if you have this contact, this client added to your consumer mobile app, if they're using it and you're working a transaction with them, you can look at that guide within the opportunities area and check off each step that they've gone through. So if I click on guide here, if we've already started our search, we can mark that step as completed. You can also mark that step as completed for them. That way, if they want to know what happens next, you can say, hey, just look at your app. Since the last thing we did was execute the contract, now we need to do the home inspection. If you want to find out what that's about, they can tap on home inspection and they'll be able to read all the information on here. And all of this information here, this guide is completely customizable. You can add steps to it. You can add photos. You can add everything you want to. You can change this entirely if you'd like to. You can make it 100% your own. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time to go through that part. So it's a really cool feature, and I'll be making some videos for you and show you and send out an article with some information on how to do that as well. So as I've been staring at my phone, I've been neglecting the chat here. Inez, you've got a question? Oh, looks like you muted there.
Yeah, so when you send the app to someone and they click the X, so then you said it's not branded to you, and then they go in later. So would I need to resend them the link? How do they get it branded to me? If I question, because I sent it to a few people and I only noticed like 2 people are in my command that actually downloaded it, and so it's branded to me. But if they're not, how do you do that?
Yeah, so the people that you sent it to, they may have downloaded it. They may have just hit that X, in which case they're using the app. They can see everything. So if I were to remove myself as the agent and do sign in, as soon as they hit the X, they just come to this and they can search for homes and do whatever they need to. So what you'd want to have them do if they didn't do that, go ahead and remove myself, fired myself. What you would have them do, because they're going to see this, you would have them click on find an agent here at the top.
Okay.
And then you can just have them put your name, have them put your name in.
Okay.
And you should show up in here. If you don't, yep, you absolutely do. But yeah, you would want to have them search for it manually. What it does whenever they download it from your branded app, is it automatically creates, connects you as their agent. So they don't have to do any searching. You're just there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, and they can share the KW app with other people. They can look at their account, change their password, notifications, all that information, their profile info. So first name user, let's change that here. That way I actually show up on here. There we go. So are there any questions on this consumer mobile app here?
Yeah, hi, Andrew. I have a question. Before I used it a few years ago, wasn't it share your app and then you could text them the app and it automatically was your information?
Yeah, if you do share the KW app, it will text them a link with the with your branded app URL. There's an easier way to do it, and what I can do at the end, if we have some time, I can show you how to make a quick little landing page for them. So then to download your app, they would just have to go to, in my instance, andrewhicks.kw.com/app. So it makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, if you hit share the KW app, you would just select their contact from your phone.
Well, then we don't have to ask them for any additional. It's going to automatically link them to us, right?
Yep. So yeah, that app URL, whenever they sign in. Now, once they download the app for the first time, this is what they're going to be seeing. So once they download the app, this is what they see. If they choose sign up or log in, it's going to brand them to you automatically.
Right.
However, if they don't, if they just hit the X, they're not going to be branded to anybody. So you always want to make sure to let them know to sign up on there. So that's the key, is to have them do the sign up option. Otherwise, they'll have the app, but it won't be branded to anybody.
Andrew,
Mhm.
I'm newer to KW.
Yeah.
Does the consumer or client have to go look for the app at the App Store and download it? Or can we send them a download link?
Yep, you can send them a download link, and I will show you exactly where to get that download link. What it does is it opens up the App Store to the KW app, and once they hit download, that is your branded app. So once they fill out this information, they show up inside of your contacts immediately.
So you are going to show us how to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that part next. We'll jump back onto the computer there. But yeah, are there any other questions on the consumer mobile app here?
Andrew,
Mhm.
I was going through it as you were, and on the more section, it does have share the KW app, and you can just pull one of your contacts in and then shoot them a text.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so once you hit more, you can choose share the KW app, and it will it'll put that branded app link instead of a text message to anybody that's in your contacts.
When I went to download it to my phone, there are several KW apps out there. So I just didn't know which one to do and what to, so I just thought it'd be good to learn.
Yeah, it should be the white KW app. Let me see here. Just bring that up here. See if I can find it even. It's that. And did it disconnect? It looks like it did. One second here. There we go. So this is going to be the one, the KW buy and sell real estate. And that's going to be for the unbranded app. You won't want to direct your clients to go to that. You're going to give them a specific link, and then they'll be able to access your branded app directly from it. So I'll be showing you that in the next step here. So yeah, they definitely wouldn't have to look for it. You'll give them the exact link. They click on that, it opens up the App Store to your specific branded app. So if you have a different email than the one that's in your app already, so this app is only for consumers. There's really nothing for us inside of this. There's no agent side of this app. It is strictly for consumers. So when you sign into this, you're signing in as a consumer. So you can change the email, I believe, if you go into your account options and then profile. Nope, looks like email address is not changeable. If you wanted to change the email address, you could sign up with that different email. Yeah, since it's it looks like that's what they have the account added as. You would have to create a new account on this Branded KW app for it. So what we'll do, let's go ahead and jump back in because I did not realize the time. It's gone by quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again with you here. If I can find that. Here we go, and we'll go over how to get that app URL, and then also I'll give you instructions on how to create your own app landing page that they would just have to go through, you know, your first last name.kw.com/app. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my contacts list. And now, let's see, where did I go? You can see Andrew Hicks is logged in. And we received that message from the user, which was the account that I was signed in with. Which, let me go ahead and click on here. I think it may have, yep, so it looks like it added, since I'm on a team, it put me onto my team account. So if you're not on a team, just ignore this part. Whenever the person comes through, it's going to, why is that not working here? Bear with me just a moment. So whenever the contact comes in from your app, they're going to show up directly on your contacts list here. We can go ahead and refresh that. So you can see the contact, and we have this nice little check mark showing that there's an agent site connection. So if they came in from your consumer mobile app or from your website, they're going to have this nice little green check mark next to it. Now, I've already had myself in as a contact before, so it remembered the information that I had previously. If I click on my contact name, this brings up a little bit more information about it. So all the information that I had added in when I created the contact, any neighborhoods that I was associated with here, the preferred method of contact, address, all that information that we added in when we initially added the contact on. Now over here to the right, you'll see this is the timeline. So this is where we can see exactly what they're doing. So you can see I logged into the agent site at 12:48. So that's whenever I logged into my mobile app. And if I were to look at properties after I logged in the last time, they would show up here. But if you look here, I viewed a collection, I updated a collection, user contacted agent. So whenever I sent that message to myself about more information, it shows up right on here. You can see the listings that I viewed, and if you click on them, it will bring you directly to that specific listing. So you can take a look whenever you give your contact a call, you can see exactly what they were looking at there. So from here, you can also see a lot more information as well. You can see what opportunities or what transactions they're involved in. You can see what smart plans they're currently associated with. You can see what tasks you have coming up for that contact, any notes that you've left for them, and then saved searches, which again, if we create a saved search on here, it's going to show up on their mobile app. So you can create a saved search directly for them to recommend properties that they want to look into. And they can go through that saved search list and they can say that they like a specific property. That way you'll know that that's something that they want to look into. So I'm going to go over some of those options pretty quickly. If we click on create saved search, we can search by neighborhood or by zip code if we'd like. If we choose neighborhood, we could type in the name of a neighborhood, or we could choose find on map. And if I wanted to look at some neighborhoods around my area here, I could just click on each of these little neighborhoods. And so it's going to let me know if there's a home that fits my criteria within these neighborhoods. So now I have those neighborhoods added onto there. And we have some pretty straightforward basic options for the saved search criteria. The price, keywords, if you're looking for a pool, large yard, a great view, pet friendly, if you're looking into condos, the property type, listing status, beds, bathrooms, pretty basic stuff. It doesn't get as detailed as the MLS does, but for a saved search that shows up directly on their app and they can look at the homes immediately, it's definitely helpful because they can say exactly which ones they like, so you can make a list for them to on homes that they want to visit. Now, are there any questions on this saved search? I know I went through it a little bit quickly, but somehow we went a little bit slower today. But are there any questions on that saved search feature? All right, very good. So I'm going to hit cancel on that so I don't create another one for me. Another important thing in the contact here on the left-hand side where we have our general information about them, we can always edit any of that information at any time by hitting that little pencil. And it brings us to that contact creation screen where we can edit any of the information we've added. Now down below, it shows our neighborhoods. So this is where you would add the neighborhoods that they're interested in. And kind of as a rule of thumb from what I've heard from other agents and what they do and what they find extremely effective is to add the neighborhood that they currently live in, add the neighborhood that they want to live in, and then to add the neighborhood that they grew up in. Because once you send out that neighborhood nurture every month or every other week, they're going to look forward to looking at that information and actually click around in it if you give them something to look back on with the nostalgia factor, something they're looking forward to, which is moving to the neighborhood that they want, and then finding out where their home is worth currently inside of their current neighborhood. So it's always a good idea to add those neighborhoods, and adding them in is pretty simple. You can just click on add neighborhood and you can search for it, or you can find it on the map. You can also choose from suggested neighborhoods. So these are neighborhoods that are close by this one. So if I wanted Riverbend, I could click on it. Any of these neighborhoods, if I click on it, it's going to add it onto there. And so that's going to show up during our neighborhood nurture email. Now, are there any questions on that part? Inez, looks like you got your hand up. Was that left over from the last time? Oh, okay.
Question here.
Yeah.
It says subscribe to neighborhoods because you just added it to this contact. Does that mean they got a message? Does it show up on the timeline if they got the message, or do you have to add them to smart plan now that you've assigned a neighborhood?
Yeah, so you would have to add them to a smart plan. Yeah, you would have to add them to that smart plan. They won't see that information here. The only time they'll see anything is if you add them to a smart plan or send them a message directly. None of this information is going to alert them of anything. The only thing that would be the saved search. So if you set them up on a saved search, they're going to be able to see it inside of their mobile app. They're going to get notifications via email whenever a new home comes on the market as well.
I got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And yeah, are there any other questions on that? The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to get your mobile app link. All right, so we will go ahead and jump right into that. So to get your branded mobile app link, if you hit the big red KW in the upper left, that lets us know exactly what each of these widgets are. So we're going to go all the way down to consumer. And this is where you can also edit your consumer mobile website. I'm sorry, your consumer website. We're not going to go into that today. Obviously, contacts is a huge topic. So we didn't have quite enough time to get into this area. But once you go to your consumer, if you go to your site and app settings here in the upper right, from there, if you click on where it says URLs right here, that's going to give you your nice little app URL right here. So you can copy that, you can write it down. I know some people make this last string of it their command password. That way they'll always remember it and they can just spout it off whenever they need to. You can also create a landing page for your consumer mobile app as well. And whenever I send out the video of this training along with the resources, I'll send you out a quick video on that. It takes about 2 minutes to create and add on there. But yeah, do we have any other questions on contacts or that consumer mobile app? Any questions for the cat that's been screaming for over an hour now? So very good. Well, what I want to do now, I want to just kind of leave the meeting open. That way, if you guys want to talk to each other, feel free to do that. I know we don't get to see a whole lot of people now, especially during COVID. It's finally starting to relax. But yeah, feel free to talk in the chat or just start talking. Yeah, feel free
Andrew, I have one question for you, and thank you for this, Andrew. This was a really great class. Definitely a different perspective than I think a lot of our agents have seen this. So thank you for that. The one question I had for you, and this has been, I think, the age-old question for the geographical differences of setting up saved searches in different areas of the country. In your area, it looks like searching by neighborhoods in that saved search is a really good way of encompassing a buyer's total need for that, right? I know in our area, like in one zip code, we might have 40 to 50 neighborhoods in one zip code, and they look like a little kid with a crayon drew them. So it's not exactly this neat cut, right? Like development to development thing. So for us, the one factor that's been holding us back a little bit is not being able to select multiple zip codes for a search. Because if we were to try and do the neighborhood only search, we could end up putting 200 to 300 neighborhoods on there. And obviously that's just a little difficult. Do you find, and I think I already know the answer for my area, but do you find that in your area, your clientele are a more neighborhood to neighborhood searching population? Or do you find it's a straddled between neighborhoods and zip codes?
Yeah, I think we really have kind of the same problem here. I think it's a little bit more exacerbated on your guys' end because it's just neighborhoods are nuts. But yeah, it is a bit of a challenge. There's some clients that want to be only in this half of the neighborhood and then this half of this one and this one. So it's difficult to be able to choose the neighborhoods that work better for them. I know one thing that we are working on, and that was released for a very short amount of time before they pulled it back. But there was something called collections, and you could put your consumers on that. And it's something where you could draw on the map and it would give them a collection of homes in that specific area that meet that criteria. I know that they're working to add the little pencil tool within our Command app, within Command to add them to those saved searches. The way that we found that some agents have gotten around not being able to draw it for them is that when they're sitting down with them, if they open up their consumer mobile app, the consumer can draw a circle around the area they want to. They can draw the boundary. But for whatever reason in Command, right now we can't. I know that they are working on it though. So that may be a good strategy, just to sit down with them or even take their login information. Even sometimes they'll create their consumer mobile account for them. So they'll do sign up, choose the email address, the name, all that information, and then they'll set them up on saved searches themselves from within the app. So that's one way to get around it currently. It's a little bit of a workaround, but that feature is coming for us very soon.
Yeah, I like that. And you're right. That's just learning the script for how hey, I'm just going to set it for you. It's just the easiest way for me to do it, something like that. So, okay, interesting. I'm sure there's a couple people that might be able to tackle that method. So, okay. But yeah, Andrew, again, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time and doing this today. It was, really, really helpful. And I'm sure, the recording will be able to share it back out, because we always have about a 5-to-1 ratio of people who watch the recording to the people who are on the class. So I know we had probably about 20, 25, 30 at some point on here, but you're probably gonna have a lot more than that end up watching it. So thank you again.
Yeah, we got the same thing here for sure. But yeah, does anybody have any other questions? Anybody know any good jokes?
The only joke will be the meme of you holding your little cat potato in your maternity sling when I order that for you on Amazon.
Yes, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. That
yeah.
I was just thinking, thank you for finally feeding the poor kitten.
Yeah, I don't know why he stopped. I don't know if I should be concerned or if I should be grateful.
Tired himself out, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a nightmare out there. The thing is like this big though. It's like the size of a potato. It's tiny. I have to like bottle feed it. But
Doing a good thing.
yeah, definitely trying. But yeah, everybody all set, all good. Again, like I said, if you're to add people to your referral network, any names you see in here, I'm sure they'd be happy to be a part of it. And that referral network really does work. I got a referral and I'm not even an agent. I don't sell real estate, and somebody tried to give me business out of nowhere. So definitely use that referral network. But yeah, I will go ahead and send out all that information to you all with that recording. Feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have any questions. My email is andrewhicks@kw.com. And everyone have a great day and a happy Thursday.
Thank you, Andrew.
See y'all. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.